Now, some people might have the view that, well, you can't play with safety, and understandably you can't, but you have to be tough and, executed in a tough way. How do you balance that toughness, because it is a serious thing when somebody makes a mistake, with this positive psychology approach?
Yeah, I think, it's like anything. An organization has systems and process. The systems and process are supposed to be there to support your success. So everybody's working within that program. As long as you follow the program, then you don't have to be what I would call hard on anybody, because it's not about being hard or soft. It's about following a process and make sure that you deliver it without any bias either way. So if you do it in that way, people know what to expect of you. You're setting parameters on the behaviors of leadership in the workplace. But the thing is it comes back to that same conversation we just had. You set the parameters around the positive things as well. So instead of a recognition program being something that takes second place, and actually it's the incident reporting program that is the priority, they have equal priority. They have equal value. Because at the end of the day, if people show that you have a balanced process and a balance in the way that you respond and react to things, people are going to be less likely not to come forward. They're actually going to be positive about coming forward, but not just about the negative things. I'll give an example. This morning, I just received an email from one of our projects where the team on their way home they actually attended a vehicle accident between a car and a motorcycle. All of a sudden, the team want to come back to work and shout about their behavior outside work, but around the positive connotation of their company that employs them. So I think that's a fantastic recognition of success, because they want to be associated with the organization and the company in responding to something in their private life and in their personal time. So it really shows pride of employment, and it becomes contagious. So it's really about, as I said, making a measurable change towards your culture and making sure that you give equal emphasis on the positive and that celebration of success.
I'm with you. And how did you come across, tell me a little bit about your career and how you came to this point where you suddenly thought, you know what, this would be a better way to do it.
Yeah, my career, as you said earlier on, has taken me across the globe. And one of the things that I think international travel really teaches you is there's lots of ways of doing the same thing, and it brings you to the same outcome. And it's all around dealing with people, whether you're able to communicate easily through language and verbal communication, or whether it creates challenge just because people are speaking a different language. But ultimately, what everybody wants to do is they want to feel that they're doing the job that they came to work to do. So when you take it back to the core value of a worker works as part of a team and they work for their supervisor, everybody wants to know that they've done a good job. And whether that's a verbal thank you, or whether that's a physical recognition where somebody gets like a gift card or something like that, 9 out of 10 times, just the verbal thank you is more powerful than any gift card or any monetary reward. And what it does is it reassures that somebody is on the right journey, they're on the right path in that shift. So at the end of the day, they turn around and they can say to, when they go home, I had a good shift. I felt like I contributed to the bigger picture. I contributed to the organization in a positive way. And the last part of the positive journey is when ultimately you go back and you give that information back to people through feedback, through your monthly performance reviews or your weekly performance reviews. People don't just report into a black hole. You actually give them the information back so they can use that as a measurable place, and they can say that, yes, I understand how I fit into the organization and I'm a positive impact, not a negative one. So I think long and the short, traveling around the world has really shown me that it doesn't matter where you are, what country, and what development of what culture you're working in. It starts with having that common desired outcome. We want to be successful, and nobody comes to work to fail. They come to work to be successful.
And the types of projects, tell me the sort of scale of projects you deal with.
So I've spent my career working on mega projects. I was working on the largest construction project in the UK to date, which was the Aspire Defence contract, which was the construction and demolition of all of the army accommodation across the south of England. Coming over to Canada, working on $500 million plus projects, working on the Janssen project, $12 billion, working across in Poland on a power station, there again, $700 million plus in value. Really just working on working for high prestigious projects, global level clients, BHP Billiton, S&C Lavalin, working for Carillion before obviously their transition. Really just working and making sure that the projects that I'm part of, that I'm contributing to their high prestigious position within the global market.
Okay, and in terms of, you've moved up through the levels, most senior level person in the health and safety side and corporate social development within your current company. What are your lessons and thoughts about, influencing CEOs and the executive side to bring this type of safety philosophy, etc., to bring success? What have you learned in terms of leadership?
Yeah, I think it comes back to the conversation. It's about demonstrating a return on investment. Every organization is, at the end of the day, trying to become sustainable with its output, and that's its revenue created. But understanding that revenue is not often an obvious return on investment. So when you're dealing at senior management level, you have to deal with your officers and directors' liabilities, which is the primary defense for your senior management team. It's about making sure that your reporting culture is in place so that you actually have a very legitimate set of analytics to discuss and make sure that the information is prominent in front of the group. Then once you understand your reporting culture, so your outputs, you can actually start talking around what your positive inputs are. So creating your culture, starting to move the organization around. Instead of focusing on your outputs, you're actually focusing on the delivery of your strategy or your plan. So for me, every organization that I've worked in, it's about having a 3-year strategy, making sure that you're looking ahead, not just the year ahead, but making sure that you have a journey that's set out in front of you of deliverables that you feel will impact and give a return on investment. Those deliverables, so when the organization gets into a place where you're being successful, you're winning lots of work, you have lots of bids, quite often your priorities are pulled from one place to another. Without having a strategic plan or a strategy in front of you, it's very difficult to then maintain a journey. What you tend to be is reactive and responsive. So by having a strategic plan, that ensures that you always have a journey to come back to so that you can always demonstrate a return on investment and the value that the supporting organization is bringing. And I say supportive because that's what health and safety is. We're not policemen. We're a group of people that support the organization, and we act as agents of change. So as we move to one deliverable, we pull the group along with us to show them the value in that decision or that change. And then when you get to that point, you then make sure that everybody has that embedded, so then you move to the next change. So what you're doing is you're taking a step change in the organization, and you're developing your culture in a measurable and achievable way, rather than trying to take a leap from not being where you want to be to being in that successful position. You can't do that. You have to go through the pain of development. You have to go through the learning. You have to go through embedding the culture in the process, which ultimately brings you to the desired outcome.